Namaste, beloveds. We started this again. I think this is like the fourth or fifth time. And I am just going to just let it flow the way it needs to and quit trying to control it. The title of this video is The Polarity and Paradox of Critical Thinking versus Distraction and Disinformation. It will tie into the previous video entitled Spiritual Will versus Mental Will that was done during the super pink moon. Um, I want to speak a little bit about critical thinking versus distraction and disinformation, those being polar opposites, critical thinking and distraction. When you're able to think critically, you're able to pause the moment, you're able to focus, you're able to use your intuition and your instincts to analyze, to judge, to assess, to determine, to discern. When you are distracted, you are ungrounded, you are not able to focus, you are not able to think critically, you are anxious, you are rushed. There are so many things, and when you're distracted, you're looking at a situation that doesn't necessarily have to be true. So there could be false information, there could be false advertising, there could be lies, there could be innuendos, there could be assumptions, there could be many opinions. It doesn't make it real and valid. And in order to be able to think about it critically, you really need the truth of the situation to evaluate it. And that's what this video is about. And it came from um, me watching Tim Scott and his rebuttal of Joe Biden's um, speech to the nation. And he said a lot of things that was distracting, and a lot of things that was disinformation or lies. And in looking at the two of them as polarities of where America is right now, and understanding you have a juxtaposition, okay? On one hand, you had Biden, who was vice president to Obama, a black man. Now you have Biden, who is president, and his vice president is a black woman. But you have a black man representing a party that is led by white supremacists and QAnon theorists being put up front to speak his piece, his perception from his experience. And I just sat back and I looked at, like I said, I looked at this, and I'm thinking critically about all of this and about the optics of it, about the professionalism of it, about the cunning of it, about the wisdom of it. And I'm looking not just at it from a spiritual standpoint, a physical standpoint. I'm also looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. And I've been focused lately polarities and paradoxes. And like I said, this is just such opposite ends. And then the middle of it is just such a paradox. And you have, like I said, these four players in this. Tim Scott, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Obama. And then you have the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. And then you have all of America. All of America is not receiving a uniform message. Why? Well, because some people are tuned into Fox News and other stations that are going to give you distorted disinformation from their agenda. Then you have other media who gives you what is going on, the facts, the truth from their agenda, the agenda of their corporate sponsors. And then you have those out in the streets who are living and experiencing the truth, which a lot of times does not get shown to others. Not it doesn't get televised daily. It doesn't get put on video because it's not deemed as spectacular news enough. But to each individual that's undergoing it is substantial. And it needs to be borne witness to, and it needs to be discussed, because what is happening in the neighborhoods, what is happening in the homes, reflects what is happening with the collective, what is happening in the conversations that are taking place. And a lot of times, these conversations turn into debates because people feel that they have to take a side and they have to be loyal to their side or to their team, so to speak, and their team players. And we saw a lot of that with Donald Trump. I believe it began, for me, I noticed it when he asked Comey if he was going to be loyal to him. And for me, that's when everything just started. Well, I saw him long before that, but for me politically, to just watch him after that and watch him try to push pieces and push people and push situations and dodge this and dodge that, and then knowing who was behind him. And who was behind him for me was Putin, was the white supremacists, was an age-old ideology that has been on this earth for a very long time. And it is about powers and principalities. It is about the ability to rule, the ability to dominate, the ability to speak, so to speak. And this came up for me today. If you would go to my Facebook page, Valerie Ames, you'll see that there's a lot of information that I shared there about South Carolina. where Tim Scott is a representative, Republican representative of. The history of the state itself, the history especially of the flag, because I was, I became very, Spirit said, notice the mask he has on before he even started speaking. And the mask was one side the United States flag, and the other side was South Carolina's flag. And sorry if I said North Carolina earlier, I meant South Carolina. But seeing the two of them on sides of his mouth and seeing him take it off, and then learning all the things that I've been learning about that flag today, the palm trees, the crescent, learning that it isn't a crescent moon as I once thought that it was, but it is a actual neck piece that guards the neck, like the samurais wore, or like you see, it was a piece to guard the neck, the throat, for me, because this man was getting ready to speak. So this is about the throat chakra. This is about that, the throat on the grid of the world. This is about that energy. This is about the voice. This is about the vote. This is about the vocations. This is about the freedom of speech. This is about the truth coming out. And like I said, all of this is on my Facebook page. Is there esoterically, is there metaphysically, is there physically, is there, it speaks to so much. The colors, the symbols, the symbiology, how it's all tied in, how it's tied in with the will of the spirit, how it's tied in with the Aquarian age right now, being the location of where South Carolina is, and that it was the docking place where the slaves were brought in to see, I believe, if they were medically sound or see if they were fit to be slaves. All of that is intertwined. It is not coincidence. It is very synchronistic. Spirit is saying that we really need to be aware of the signs and symbols that are coming up, and that we need to look at the way things, the patterns, and the addictions of the physical mind to these situations that keep rising and repeating. And if we are going to not be so distracted by them, but to use our instincts and intuition to think critically about the matter, to look at the facts, to look at the facts through the eyes of existence. And how does this affect existence itself? How does this allow existence to expand? How can we expand from this old, ancient existence? How do we stop it from keep going round and round? How do we turn the page and start a new chapter, so to speak? How do we get the next generation informed so that this doesn't keep happening every 50 years, every 10 years, every 20 years, every 300 years, every 500 years, every 2000.6 years. Slavery has been a mainstay in humanity since the gods. And when I say the gods, I'm speaking of the flood, before the flood, when divine intervention was necessary because of the evil, the wickedness, the things, the atrocities that were happening. Those beings who were tipping the balance of existence, that had to be stopped. That was done with the flood. And critical thinking did not stop us. Critical thinking didn't save us because we were too tormented. We were too much in fear. And those that spoke out, well, we know what happens when you speak out. That's that piece right there. That's why I said it's just so deep. Go to my Facebook page, Valerie Ames. Look at all the things that are there that have to deal with South Carolina, that have to deal with Tim Scott. A lot of things came up yesterday in my Facebook memories from 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 8 years ago. And it's amazing the correlation and the synchronicity that it has with today. That it has to do with the things that are occurring, the energies, the spiritual energies that are happening, the physical energies that are integrating, and those that are being released and let go, and those that are no longer serving, and people are saying, no, we're not going to keep carrying that forth. The next generation, we have to step up. We have to look at our climate. We have to take action. And yet you have those still with the disinformation. Well, there's nothing wrong with the climate. Coal is the best source of fuel that there is, and blah, 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 blah. And you have Tim Scott. There's no systematic racism. What are you talking about? I'm a black man. Look at me. I'm the one up here saying this. If I can say this, then who are you going to believe, me or the white man? Just because you are considered, quote unquote, black, belonging to the black race, the African American race, doesn't mean you represent the majority. Doesn't mean you represent that spirit even, if you're not being authentic. If you're being led to perform and tap dance and being paid to be a voice for an ideology that is against your brother, you're representing who's behind you. You're representing who's signing your paycheck. Okay? You're representing the party, the club, the team that you're on. And your skin color really doesn't matter. It's your content of character. It's your integrity and it's your heart. Because you're not looking out for the collective. You're looking out for a select few. Because that's who you belong to. That's your crew. That's what they do. And like I said, it always blows my mind. But these type of men, they have their spirits have always allowed them to be swayed. They have been the overseers on the plantation who were crueler than white overseers. They were those loyal to saving their own skins versus anything else, even their own children, even their own family. You know, you've heard, oh, they'll sell their mama for blah, 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 you know, whatever. Because there's no critical thinking. They're too far gone. The common sense is not there. Their common sense is not with the collective. Their common sense belongs to the few that they represent. I have pulled some cards and I'm going to just read those cards. Again, this video is about the polarity and paradox of critical thinking versus distraction and disinformation. Beloveds, educate yourself on what critical thinking is. Teach yourself how to be a critical thinker. A critical thinker is a being, a beloved being, who is able to turn off the distraction and the disinformation and the loud noise and loud colors and the violence and the emotions and everything, and sit in the center of their inner silence and bear witness and get in touch and get intimate with their intuition and their instincts, that which they incarnated into this lifetime with, that which was not given to them, which was not conditioned, which was not programmed, which cannot be taken away. Oh, it can be dulled, but it can't be taken away. Learn. Teach yourself, teach your children, teach your family to be critical thinkers. If that means turning off the television, do it. If that means learning how to just sit and not listen to your mind, not have your thoughts and your feelings dictate the stage of your being, dictate the silence, squash the silence, kill the silence. That silence is golden. That's where you get your glow from. You know, I posted the other day that Vanity, The Last Dragon, Tiamat, The Last Dragon, with Vanity, um, Shownuff and Leroy, and you know that movie. And go watch it again. And use your critical thinking while watching it and see what the message is for you. It's an ancient message. And you'll find that message in just about every myth, Just about every fairy tale, just about every legend that there is. It's the same story, just with different characters. We often are seekers. We want to know. We're curious. This doesn't feel right. I don't fit in. Where do I fit in? What can I do to make things better? Because your presence experiences this world. You don't have to see everything. You don't have to hear everything. You don't have to know everything to experience it within your being. Your being is like a magnetic field. It hears, you know, it hears the sounds, it hears the frequencies, it hears the vibration, it experiences these things just like a heartbeat. Sometimes you can feel things, know things, and you're like, how did I know that? How did I feel that before it happened? Or how? Because this is your design. And if you would get more in touch with your true nature, your true design, you would be able to use critical thinking to a much higher degree than we are right now. And that's what we need to do. We need to expand our conscious awareness. And the only way to do that is to eliminate as much distraction and distortion and disinformation as you can. Okay. Let me read these cards. I pulled 4 of them. And it's so funny because the cards were all over the place, but yet their numbers are 27, 30, 33. Okay, wait a minute. 27, 29, 30, and 33. Okay. And April, like I said, with this super pink moon, has been so pivotal in my own growth cycle, in me understanding the many things that I am integrating right now, in me being aware of the things that I'm letting go of, as far as ideologies, as far as me being more aware of my own behaviors, my own addictions, my own adaptations, my own frequency. I'm learning to be more intimate with myself. I'm learning to treat myself as this bride that's really getting ready to get intimate with this Christ consciousness that's really surging up everywhere in my spiritual awareness and telling me, get ready, get ready, get ready. You know, be ready. When it comes, be ready. You got to be ready. And so I'm ready, and I know I'm ready, but the mind is like, you ain't ready, girl. Girl, you ain't ready. Look at you. And so it's like, okay. And this is where I am. And I realize this is where collectively a lot of us are. And so it's in healing and recognizing it within myself that I'm able to create ripples and frequencies outwards, and also to be able to receive deeper information, deeper what I call downloads, deeper and get deeper and more intimate with my instincts and intuition, and with that part of me that has no beginning and has no ending, my existence. that I incarnated with before the reprogramming kind of took over. And like I said, this month, April, is the fourth month. Um, my brother called me. Um, my birthday is May the 1st. And I had completely spaced it. And he's like, well, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. But, beloveds, these 4 cards, like I said, they were spread through the deck, but they are very impactful in what is happening and presenting itself in my conscious awareness with these 2 videos that I'm doing. And so let me just get to them. I'll do them in order. That way, they're just in order of the numbers. 27. So think April 27. Okay. And a shout out to my mentor, Satyan, because this is his birthday, the 27th. So here we go. Billions of us are living in perfect diversity. And this is what that card looks like. Look at the colors. Look at the hands. Each one is 5 fingers. And that it's a hand and it's the number 5. And that there so many colors. And that they're going in different directions. All on this one card. And they're growing up from one place. Billions of us are living in perfect diversity. 27 is a 9. The diversity of your planet is of tremendous value and benefit because from variety springs all new ideas and expansion. There goes that word. Without the diversity, there would be complacency and endedness and complacency. And again, beloveds, we are speaking of polarities and paradoxes. So this is saying the polarity that we need to, this card is presenting, is diversity and complacency. Diversity and endedness. So because of diversity, if you did not have diversity, you would have endedness, which is nothing. You wouldn't have a multitude. You would not have variety. You would not have a lot of the ideas and the different things that we have now simply because of diversity. So you have to really pay attention to the wisdom of the expansion that takes place because of the critical thinking of diversity and its opposites being complacency and endedness. You are billions of people living the perfect diversity just as you knew you would, constantly asking for improvement and thereby setting up for the next generation that improved life experience. How many of us have heard we are the generation that we've been waiting for to make these changes, to get ourselves, to get our climate right, to bring alignment to all the races, to all the cultures, to expand conscious awareness universally. That's what this card is basically saying. If you understood that and no longer clamored for the one right way to live, things would go better for you sooner. So this improved life experience and this next generation, it's really going to depend on us understanding that one right way is the diversity of ways, always. That is coexistence, beloveds. That is the allowing of expansion, of others to expand, and not expecting everybody to be at the same place that you are. Not in awareness, not in maturity, not in body shape, not in stature, not in energy, not in spirit, not in character, not in integrity. It's not going to, we're not all going to be clones of each other. We all don't have to be Mr. and Mrs. Jones. We can be ourselves. And when we get to that point, we'll have an improved life experience. That's that card. And that is what um, Satyan with the Satyan Raja. He's on Facebook as well. He warrior sages. Um, you can look him up. But that is what he basically um, is all about. That kind of diversity, that kind of expansion, and that kind of, I don't like so much the word lifestyle, but that type of life outlook where you can be yourself and you can still help many without harming or hurting. The next is 29, which is in 11. Our diversity supports our individual freedoms. Wow. Again, we have hands. This time, we have portals in the hand, or vortexes in the hand, or energy circles in the hands. And the hands are there, and their bodies, I would say outer, inner, and inner again, and whatever you see. But again, this card is speaking of diversity. So let's see. And it's an 11, which is an opening, which is portal. Um, I also see mm, I see two eyes, I see two mouths. Um, there's actually like three different beings, and there is with each one of these. Um, I hope you can see it. There are these little dots there, not just the little orange dots, but it's like a circuitry. It's like a circulation going on, and there's great symmetry with all these hands. And this one in the brain, and then the neck right there. Again, we have that neck. So, um, again, that's that for me. That's not the throat, but it's still in that neck region. And it says, our diversity supports our individual freedoms, while your societies continue to try to dictate and enforce human behavior to please the majority because of your diversity. It continues to be an uncomfortable struggle that again and again falls of its economic weight. That is so powerful. That is so true. That is just what um, we have been talking about, beloveds, with this whole Tim Scott Biden um, slavery situation and what is happening in America right now, and I believe all over the world, is that we know the Caucasian race or the white race has been the majority for a very, very long time since Rome and so forth and so on. But they are no longer the majority. They are no longer the majority, and they're having a very hard time letting that status symbol go, letting that season go, letting that age go, letting that way of being, thinking, knowing, doing go, letting that power, the power of the majority, the power of the majority is the power to colonize, the power to cull, the power of genocide, the power of excommunication, the power of execution, the power of dominance, the power of aggression. Versus, here we go with these polarities. The majority being the submissive, being the vulnerable. They don't want that shift. They don't want to be vulnerable. They fear that because of what they have done in their power, in their greed. And beloveds, understand that it's not just a skin color. It is a status, it is a lifestyle, it is a spirit. Because that spirit has, I'll use the word influenced, possessed, taken over their minds. Their hearts are closed, and their minds are what's open to all of this influence. And they are addicted to it. But we have to be critical thinkers, and we have to find ways to help wean them off without a big confrontation. America doesn't need another civil war. America needs to do a census recount. America needs to make more Republicans aware so that people can think critically, knowing that some of them is no reasoning with them. They're only going to see and know what they know. And those are the ones that the Bible speaks of. They can't hear and they can't see. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And it's nothing you can do to persuade them. It's nothing that you can do to help them. It's nothing you can do. And all you can do is work on yourself, beloved. That's all you can do. And I've come across a lot of information lately that says, oh, keep your stuff quiet. Be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. I'm quiet about a lot of things, but there are other things that I feel that my voice, my vision, my vibration is designated and designed for. And that is where my authenticity is tested most. Because there are times when I guess I cater more to optics, and because of that I shy away from things. or I just don't even want to be bothered. And so I shy away from things. But I'm learning that that part of me is expanding over that, higher than that. And so I can feel it lessening. I can feel it lessening. That I can honestly say. I can feel it lessening. Now, to what degree it's going to lessen, I'm not sure just yet. But the fact that it is lessening and the fact that I'm aware of it speaks volumes. Um, Again, this is about the majority and the minority. The majority and the minority. I was speaking of race, but I want you to also bring into focus the majority of your thoughts, the majority of your feelings, the majority of your interactions with others, the majority of your interactions alone with yourself intimately. What kind of conversations are taking place? What kind of silence is there? What kind of peace do you know? What kind of presence do you present? The majority of the time. And understand the diversity of your being, and that diversity is necessary. But also look at, here we go, these polarities and the paradoxes. Look into it, beloveds. Look into it. There simply is not enough money in the world to buck the natural currents of individual freedom and independence of thought. That is saying that no matter what the situation seems like, beloved, no matter what the majority is, have faith. Have faith in the individual freedom. Have faith in what you incarnated with. Because nobody, you are a sovereign being. You are nobody's slave. So put faith in that. Put faith in that. And put faith in the independence of thought, which means your own critical thinking. That which comes from you, your intuition and your instincts. It has value. It comes from your experience. Get intimate with it. Don't discount it. Don't hear it. Get yourself, well, I can't listen to that, or I can't hear that. Train yourself. Have someone teach you how. Again, back to this Tim Scott thing and the mask and the voice. All of this is so connected. And I hope you're able to see it. Okay, that was that card. The next card is number 30. Our very behavior adds to the planet's well-being. And that's number 3, 30. When you remember that nothing can come into your experience without your vibrational invitation of it. And when you remember that the varied behavior of others adds to the balance of well being of your planet, even if they offer behavior that you do not approve of and that you do not have to participate in the unwanted behavior and will not unless you give your attention to it. you become more willing to allow others to live as they choose. What is this card really saying when it comes to polarity of critical thinking and distraction and disinformation? What is it saying? That the well being of the planet, we have to realize with our critical thinking that nothing can come into our experience without our vibrational invitation of it. And our vibrational invitation is our instincts and our um, intuition, beloveds. Our instincts and our intuition forms our thoughts. When you allow the brain to either depend upon your instincts and intuition or to reject your intuition and your instinct, you have to realize that what you manifest or what you bring to you to experience, it's coming from you. And you have to remember that different experiences is what's necessary to add balance. And the other day I did this posting because it came into my spirit about iron sharpening iron. And a lot of times, beloveds, iron sharpening iron, that's friction, that's tension, that's bumping heads, that's being triggered, that's being irritated. These things, what this is saying is these things are necessary. These, the word is varied behavior of others. These varied behaviors of others adds to the richness of our experiences. It gives us what we need to be critical thinkers. It gives us the experience to use our instincts, to use our intuition. It gives us the ability to discern between when we're spiritually present and when we're just mentally present or emotionally present or just physically present and everything else is turned off and numb. It's saying the well being of the planet. And that everything that is going on, you don't have to participate in it. You can choose. You can choose. I've learned to be um, a lot more picky with my energy, with what I give it to, with what I share it to, the time that I spend on something. I've learned to be more not so quick to just jump in, not so quick to say I'm right and you're wrong, and this is why I'm right and this is why you're wrong, and let me prove it to you. And I've learned, and I am learning patience and long suffering and endurance. And these virtues are really helping me a lot. They're really helping me a lot in a lot of different ways, beloveds, because like I said, the more existence that you experience, the more insight you have, the more your instincts get better because you allow. Your spirit also expands, which gives you, um, which allows you more expansion. It expands, allowing you more expansion. It allows you to feel more safe. It allows you not to depend so much upon what you see and what you hear physically, but what you hear and see inside. And so when we do that, it's saying the earth benefits from that as well. The earth benefits from that as well when we are able to do that. The planet, our varied behavior. And again, our varied behaviors, I'm being told, is also part of the paradox and the polarities that help the planet. And if you look at things in a positive, negative, universal mathematical way, you understand the, I believe it's what I'm seeing, is the integers, the adding and the subtraction of integers, the negative numbers with the positive numbers, and so forth. The rule of those universal mathematics with the numbers and the letters. It's a language, and that language is encoded in our genetics and in everything that is. And the more we understand that, the more our critical thinking will expand and allow us different things. Okay. And it helps the planet. Okay, 33. I can find harmony by feeling for improved thoughts. That third eye up in the top of the brain is kind of deep. And it being the head and that neck being there, and those two eyes, and the eye being green. There's a lot there. No ear. Interesting. 33 is a 6. And the card is about harmony. I can find harmony by feeling the improved thoughts. Eye being in the head, bigger than the eye on the face. Also, the eye up here, the, what is it called? The Viscus Pisces, that shape of the fish almost, is there. If we were contemplating an action, the smelling, the nose is pink, they say. Okay. If we were contemplating an action that caused negative emotion, we would not proceed with the action until we had resolved the negative emotion. If we were contemplating, if we were thinking, critically thinking about an action that would cause negative emotion, we would not proceed with the action until we had resolved the emotion, the negative emotion. So, beloveds, that's simply saying, even as children, if we knew we were thinking about something that was going to make everybody mad or make us mad or get us in trouble or whatever, we were going to come up with a way for that not to happen. We're not, the most rational person isn't just going to go and just do that and make it happen so they can feel all of those negative emotions. Who, That's not something we normally do. We would make sure that we had come into alignment with Source before proceeding. By feeling for the improved thought in time, and usually in a short time, you will feel the harmony of your Source. So, this is saying ground yourself. Get your thoughts in order. Do not let your mind lead you. Your mind is not in control, it's a passenger. But you got a lot of people that allow their minds to be the backseat driver, the GPS, and everything else. The foot on the gas, the whole nine. Hands on the stern wheel, you know. And this is saying, understand the harmony of everything and balance that harmony out by your thoughts before you enact and engage into behaviors, into speech. Since this particular show is about the polarities of critical thinking and distraction, disinformation. So, from that standpoint, by feeling for the improved thought in time, usually in a short time, you will feel the harmony of your Source and you will know the appropriateness of your behavior. We would not look for long lists of right and wrong, but instead we would feel for the emotion of alignment with Source. So, you are operating from instincts and intuition and the silence rather than thoughts, feeling, and the noise of the mind. You're operating from your heart. There's a big difference when you do that. There's a different motion, there's a different movement, there's a different flow. That kind of integrity, alignment is able to change the frequencies around you because you're a magnetic being. And so when you have the presence of mind to use the wisdom within your heart rather than the logic in your head, you can shift things around you into where they align, merge, unite, integrate with what's in your heart. So your outcome, your outlook meets your outcome. Your outcome meets your outlook. There we go. Okay. And you do that, you can't do that with disinformation. You can't do that when you're distracted. If you're distracted or if you got lies that you're dealing with instead of truth, you can't do that because it's not going to align, because it's not in harmony. Okay? Okay. With Source. Source is, we can say, excuse me for fidgeting, but I don't know, I keep getting cold and feeling just, there's a lot around me. So, excuse me. But the alignment with Source. Understand what Source is, beloveds. Source is what you incarnated from. Source is what has no beginning or has no ending. Source is the most ancient and collective of memories and experiences. It is all knowing, it is all wise. Understand that that is what you tap into. And you need to know how to tap into it with your intuition, with your instincts, and with your acceptance of the silence that is you. That you don't, this outer world is the dream world. It is what is appearing as reality. But reality is what is the source that exists within you. And there's nothing more real than that. And there's nothing that you should put more faith in than that. And there's nothing that deserves more of your devotion than that. And there's nothing that you should be chasing or seeking or lusting for, desiring beyond that, because that is the truth. And that's a very hard thing for us to it's a very hard thing for us to what's the word? To realize with real eyes, because our first urge when we get here, when we're born, when we come out of that womb, is to be warm and to be held and to be fed and to be loved and to be nurtured. And those feelings activate everything within us, our hormones, our crying, our everything. And we get so engrossed in these new appetites and in these new senses and in these new feelings and in these new thoughts that most of us shut down that deeper connection that we had in the womb with Source. And everything else outside of that womb was just, that was the outside vibrations. You know, it didn't affect us like it did when we were in the womb. That's the critical thinking, beloveds. Okay, those are those 4 cards. I'm going to read something, and this will be after I read it. This will kind of conclude things because we've gone for a while. But I ask that you read about spiritual will versus mental will. The video before this, the Super Pink Moon, and I'm going to read something that I wrote, and it blew me away. I believe I wrote it 8 years ago, and it came up yesterday. So I wrote it 8 years ago yesterday, or I shared it on that date, and April 29th, and it just keeps coming up. Again, with the Tim Scott, the Biden thing, it keeps coming up. And as I read it, I'll get into it with what I mean about that. But just keep everything that I said earlier in the video about why I was doing this video about Tim Scott about the mask he wore, about Biden and Biden's speech and what that speech entailed for the families and the collective and the United States, those who agree with him and those who do not agree with him, and the, the necessity for a rebuttal, who gave the rebuttal, what that rebuttal was about, the audience that that rebuttal was for, and what I'm going to read right now. And what I'm getting ready to read right now is called The Lesson of Smelling and Chasing Your Own Tail. TALE and TAIL. So, again, I'm spirit led. So when I write stuff, it's spirit led, it's from spirit. And I can write it and think it means one thing, and years later, days later, minutes later, it's about something totally different, and it just blows my mind every time. But let me get into this. Again, the name of it is The Lesson of Smelling and Chasing Your Own Tail, TALE, and Tail, TAIL. So your own story and your own physical body. I knew I would be getting a visit soon with the way things were happening, the red flags that I was deliberately stepping over and walking past. In my tunnel vision of what I wanted and what I thought I needed, and the synchronicity and the duplication of things and lessons that had already been processed, or at least so I thought. I knew it would only be a matter of time before she came to set things straight for me once again. Because, yes, once again, I was at the crossroads of my own path, telling others that they were at the crossroads of their own path, while they looked at me like I was crazy, demented, and foolish. And of course, me, being me, I didn't give a damn what they thought, because, giggle, I was right and they was wrong. I mean, I know what the hell I'm feeling. And if I'm feeling it, then everyone must be feeling it too, right? So one night, after a very emotional exchange of ranting and raving and questioning my ancestors, my guides, and my God, after a couple of glasses of very cold peach Moscato wine, I drifted off to sleep, still pouting and throwing tantrums. So picture this. My vibration becomes one of static. And I just when I say that, I want you to know that it just, that's static, okay? For me, that's that vibration, that's static. And it sometimes it comes with the noise and sometimes it doesn't. Okay? And I'm not the one moving, but that's the feeling. Okay? That's the presence. That's the energy bubble, whatever you want to call that I'm in. It's like this. It's that pulsating kind of vibrational field kind of thing. And I think it's multidimensional kind of, like in when the deja vu in the Matrix thing, it's that move, it's that. That's the best way I can describe it, but let me keep going. My vibration becomes one of static, and I blink in and out in all the ages that I have ever experienced. But in each one of them, I am dissatisfied, feeling unloved, feeling and thinking I am alone, angry at the chaos, angry at the state of peace that won't come and settle around me because of my static, angry with myself for even knowing this about myself, angry with him for not seeing me, not listening to me, not hearing me, not connecting with me, not joining me, not accepting me, not allowing me to love him. And yes, truthfully, I can say painfully with no shame, no remorse, or any regrets. Him not loving me the way I wanted to be loved. So there I am, 3 years old, on the ground, flailing around, having a tantrum. 8 years old, 12 years old, 16 years old, all the way to 999 years old, and still having tantrums, and still in that static state in my vibration when she appears, bends down, puts her hand down to grasp my ear, and begins to drag me, still blinking in and out in static mode, to her fire, close to the riverbanks of time. Earth, air, fire, and water call to me. They comfort me, they still me as I calm myself down enough to take physical form in the present moment of this particular lesson that I know deep in my heart I did sign up for, regardless of how I receive it at this time. And beloveds, if you've ever watched, I forget the name of the movie, but it's Wreck-It Ralph and the little girl, that's a glitch in how she be, that's the static that I'm speaking of. That's just another aspect of it. So, glad you finally decided to join me, granddaughter. I thought you were going to fizzle out there for a minute, but your spark is strong, even if your mind is weak. Don't look at me with that stricken look on your face. You requested truth. You requested clarity. Well, here I am. That blanket you are sitting on belonged to the first old mother. She is only energy and memory now, but you still feel her and her will and her presence because she lives inside of your blood flow in the codes of your genetic makeup and engineering. This is her lesson to and for you. Drink this tea and lay down so that she may speak to you. Yes, a dream inside of a dream is how you connect with her. I will sit here and wait for you to wake up. Up, 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 up. Wow, her voice is really fading and sounding like an echo. Giggle, wait, mine too. Giggle, this is so cool. Blinking, I look around. I'm in the middle of an oasis. Palm trees. Palm trees, y'all. Go to Facebook page, Valerie Ames. You'll see all those palm trees. You'll see that mass like I was talking about. One side the American flag, the other a palm tree and a crescent. Palm trees, y'all. Palm trees, fig trees, savannas of high grass as far as you can see. There's a mound in the center with steps that lead up, 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 and up, and feeling it pulling me like a magnet, I start walking towards it. As beautiful birds are startled by my presence and start to fly as they scold me for disturbing their peace. Feeling contrite, I wonder what is going to happen. I've never been here before. I've never appeared before her. I wonder what she will be like. Will she be sweet or cranky? And I start to ascend the stairs. Each one has a tone to it, like a musical scale, going higher and higher with each step and each sound. I feel like I'm floating. I said that earlier today on Facebook too. Like gravity no longer exists, and I have not a care in this world, or any other for that matter. 2 more stairs to go. The notes are really high. You still can't see what is ahead of you. Upon reaching the last step, I realize I am now looking down, deeply down into a crater, a hole, a vortex, a wormhole kind of thingy. And I'm looking down. As I am looking down, here are kind of I hear a kind of high pitched walking, kind of sing song, ancient, but stored in my memories. Suddenly, a rainbow crystal sheer floor begins to come visible, and there are two beautiful unicorns standing there. I don't know what to do. They each get behind me and give me a slight gentle nudge. They smell like jasmine and plumeria with a hint of peach patchouli, if you can make any sense of that. I walk to the center of this beautiful floor, and they each take a place by my side. Suddenly, a wooden box appears up from the floor in front of me, opened to expose a beautiful necklace of lapis lazuli. It is in choker fashion. I know that I am to put it on. I put it on, and immediately I am able to see auras and energy forms of light all around me. It is beautiful. The two unicorns introduce themselves to me. First, the black one, which is female. She tells me her name is Boaz. The second one tells me his name is Jacob, and they will be my guides as well as my transportation to her. From another place in the floor, an emerald crystal and gold chariot appears. Boaz and Jacob tell me to get in, and as they stand in the front, as I step into the chariot, my clothing disappears and is replaced by a shimmering white gold, thin, luminous, sensual material that drapes around my body, making me feel as beautiful as everything else around me. As I am amazed and thinking nothing like this ever happens with grandmother, Boaz and Jayton laugh and Winnie toss their heads and say, "Hold on," as an indigo mist begins to swirl and surround us like a big mouth, swallowing us. Again, that throat. Again, blue for that South Carolina flag and for the throat chakra. Okay? This is so much to take in. Boaz speaks to me for the first time. I am realizing that no one is actually speaking, but it's all in my head. And I am like, whoa, that is so cool. Pay attention, little one. She says, you will come into contact with many things. Some will be frightening to you, simply because you have never been prepared physically to see such things. Everything that you see will have a message for you. Everything that you hear will hold a lesson for you. Many things will be seen and heard, but will disappear as soon as you see or hear them, because they are for later lifetimes and are not for your home dimension at this time. What is for you, you will forever hold in your Akashic records. It will be there for you, just as your heartbeat, just as your breath. You won't need to look or ask, because it will be a natural part of your existence. Unquestionable, Jacob says, adding his 2 cents to the pot, as the indigo mists begin to evaporate, and winds can be felt blowing gently as a turquoise blue stream appears. As far as the eye can see, suddenly I can hear and feel a heartbeat. It vibrates through me like a deep bass booming through internal speakers. Suddenly, a ripple happens in the waters, as a whirlpool spiral appears. And from the center of that spiral, a huge willow tree emerges. Bow and look at the ground. Do not speak unless you are asked to, and not with your mouth, but with your heart. Do not look up until she bids you. Boaz and Jacob say in sync with each other. I do as I am commanded. All three of us bow deeply, looking at the ground. Yes, 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 she whispers. Enough with formalities. Step forward, little one. Let me see you shine. I step forward, But without a pause in my mind, I say, shine. What does she mean? What does she want me to do? Her laughter is like tinkling bells inside my head. Oh my, you really are young, aren't you? You are such a precious little thing. She extends outwards toward me one of her branches. It encircles my waist and brings me upward towards her trunk. I try not to be afraid as I keep telling myself, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. Grandmother's watching me. She's guarding me. She won't let anything happen to me. Breathe, Valerie. Just breathe. Don't pass out. It's just a dream. Keep telling yourself it's just a dream. And soon it will be over, just like all the other dreams. And you will wake up and you will awaken much wiser. Such a delicate little thing, aren't you, dear? As she turns me this way and that before she brings me up close to her eye. It is the most beautiful eye I have ever seen. A deep brown, but so bright and so full of love. I feel as I did in the womb, warm and surrounded by the universe and all its many possibilities, all looking at me with wonder. She blinks. Wow, what beautiful eyelashes. She chuckles at me. Yes, yes, yes. You are quite young, aren't you? And yet, here to see me already. Very interesting you are, little one. Here, sit right here. And she places me up in her branches. As I am looking around, there are so many sights to be seen and sounds and voices to be heard. It all kinds of starts to spin, like I'm on a giant merry-go-round, and we are going fast. Suddenly it slows down. And Boaz and Jachin turn into dogs. First they see each other, and then they go smell each other, and then they growl at each other, and then the funniest thing in the world happens. They stand on their hind legs and begin to dance a slow tango, looking intensely at each other while they wag their tails. Suddenly, out of nowhere, they let each other go, and each one begins to chase their own tail, howling and wailing because they can't catch it. And as they keep spinning, they move farther and farther away from each other until they disappear from sight. I wake up crying and whispering, come back, don't go, needing them to come back and be together again. Grandmother says, and she hands me some hot tea with chunks of lemon, orange, and some of her herbs floating around in it. Drink it, she urges me gently, which is a complete about face from the mood where I first arrived. Like I said, I'm all this energy, boy. It's cold. I can feel them. Okay, sorry. Some of her tea, hot with chunks of lemon, orange, and some of her herbs floating around in it. Drink it, she urges me gently, which is a complete about face from her mood, where when I first arrived. It is okay, daughter. When you are ready, tell me what you remember most. Don't leave anything out, no matter how small a detail you may think it is. I tell her everything, leaving nothing out. You have received a lot, granddaughter, more than I thought she would give you, or you would be able to hold. I am grateful to witness your progress. We will come back to the rest in time. Okay, that just got way bright. Okay. All right. Sorry. And now we're going back to the slow motion because of the light. I'll just try to sit still. Sorry. No, that's not gonna work. Okay. It is what it is. Beloveds, it just is what it is. It just is what it is. Okay. I tell her everything, leaving nothing out. You have received a lot, granddaughter, more than I thought she would give you or you would be able to hold. I am grateful to witness your progress. We will come back to the rest in time. But for now, I will give you your lesson. Give you your lesson. What you do with it is up to you, as always. She reached inside one of her many pouches and blew a yellow powder like substance in my face. I felt it coat me like baby powder. It smelled like honey dust. I breathed it in and I could feel it traveling through my eyes, all the way down into my heart. You met the two pillars of human existence. And beloveds, this part here is is really deep, because if you have looked on my page, my Facebook page, um, Valerie Ames, I was led to the High Priestess card in the Egyptian deck, um, which has the two um, pillars, and it gave its own reading because it was from the Egyptian deck. And so you have to go on my page to read it, and I'll put a link um, to my Facebook page um, down below. But pay attention to this part, because this is where it gets really spiritually deep. Okay, this is where the esoteric, the occult, the metaphysical, the explanation of the entire long dream. This is it. This is the meat of it. You met the two pillars of human existence. The two pillars that just gets me each time. Are the two pillars of human existence. And when you think of what a pillar is, what it does, what it symbolizes, and then the color, I'll get into that, of human existence. Black and the dark and the light, the yin and the yang, Boaz and Jacob, male and female, you and he. And remember, they were black and white. Since you first bled, granddaughter, and there we go with that red, those are the three colors of existence: black, white, and red. And when you do different things with those three, you create crossroads, you create many different things. But I'll leave that alone. You have been doing this dance, this meet and greet, this tango of your own design. When will you choose to unlearn this pattern that you try to tailor to your imagination, your longings, your thinking, your version of reality? It is not yours. It is not his version that matters or materializes. It is only hers. And beloved, that blew me away, because I have been on this self-inquiry path that has led me to understand that I am existence, that existence has many forms, has many frequencies, but I am not separate from any of them. I am all of them, and I am none of them at the same time. The none of them being the possibilities, yet to be born, yet to be created, yet to be manifested, so to speak. And so, understanding that what you were thinking, all those habits, all those behaviors, all those patterns, all that circling around, chasing yourself, all that, those energies that you're creating, all of those situations that you're manifesting with these these different men that you're getting in relationships with, or you're thinking you're in relationships with, in your imagination, and what they think, none of that matters. It doesn't matter, because it's all coming from the mind. The mind wants to be in control. The mind will manipulate and manifest whatever it needs to do what? Stop you from critically thinking. It will feed you disinformation. It will distort things. And you will be so caught up that you forget what your existence, what you incarnated to do in this existence, which is to expand your conscious awareness of yourself as existence. Through this test, through this minefield, okay? Boom, boom, boom. How many traps do you set for yourself? How many sabotages have you set up? How many he's have you planted in your garden that's going to spring up to test you, to test your mind, to get you back into such an emotional state, frequency, that you forget all about your spiritual incarnated, your instincts and your intuition, because you gone. You too gone in the physical, in the dream, thinking it's real. Your devotion has to be to love, not yourself, not your ego, not your thinking, not your needing, not your wanting, but in being, becoming love. You cannot devote yourself to yourself. You cannot devote yourself to another without losing the most vital lesson of all: how to be an individual inside a collective body / universe. That is what your purpose is, to know yourself. Your devotion has to be to love, not yourself, not your ego, not your thinking, not your needing, not your wanting. Your devotion can't be to politics or a side. Your devotion can't be to a team. Your devotion can't be to a color. Your devotion can't be to a sex, to a gender, to a politic, to a policy, to a debt. Your devotion can't be to ideologies or principles or philosophies or religions of man, of minds, of distractions, of distortions, of disinformations. Why? Because in chasing all of that and being devoted to all of that, what are you rejecting? What are you leaving behind? What are you not focusing on? What are you not having an intimate connection with? Which has more value? because this physical body will tell you it's what you can feel and what you can see and what's glittery and sparkly and what the Joneses got. The professional, the what's popping, the cool, the trendy, the now, the hip. Can you dig it? You know, all that's nice, all that's cool, but when it comes to a reckoning of your heart, like in the Egyptian days with Ma'at and Anubis and the scales and what's the little monster? Amanet and the feather, your heart being placed on that scale with a feather, and you have to be lighter than the feather. And you're only that if you're in the spirit. That's what that feather, angel wings flying up, all the symbology again. There we go with those symbols. But if your heart is so heavy with worry, with anger, with fear, with desires and lusts and addictions and just all this stuff that this world, the disinformation, the lies, the language, the worldly, earthly love, and it's not even balanced with the spirit. You're lost. You're lost. You're lost. You're lost. In every mythology, in every story, you're lost. Second death, second hell, whatever you want to call it. Let me just finish now, beloveds. And I know it's been a long one. Thank you for hanging in there with me. And if you need to pause this and come back to it 1,000 times like my bestie does, because like, girl, that was long. That was long. I was falling. I understand. I understand. This is a lot, and we unless you really, really old school and have been taught to sit down and be still, it's hard in this time and age because there's so much distraction. We're taught, oh, you need to do this and do that and microwave for everything fast, right now. And some of us ain't built for that. We ain't studying that, and I'm the turtle. I'm going slow. I listen to everything you say. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna say this and blah blah blah. No, we was taught how to critically think. We was taught how to see everything, to discern, and to be present in that moment. And many of us also know how to tune the hell out, to all the static and noise and everything. Let me get back to this. Okay. I love y'all. And I love me. And I love us. So, thank you, because I will be watching this again. And like I said, these really helped me to expand. Expand beyond my own limitation, my own way. because I'm learning how to be nothing. I'm learning how to be empty. I'm learning not to hold on to stuff. And 56 years old, getting ready, I'll be 56 May the 1st. And I am so used to holding on, holding on, holding on, holding on, because the polarity of that is everything has been taken, left, leave, died, gone, you know. So it's it's really a learning lesson for me. Let me continue. I hope I didn't explain too much, but okay, breathe. Sorry. Okay. Your devotion has to be to love, not yourself, not your ego, not your thinking, not your needing, not your wanting, but in being, becoming love. In being and becoming love. Unconditional love, beloveds. Being and becoming unconditional love. That means you don't have to put up with everybody's stuff. You don't have to be smack dab in the middle of it. You can still set boundaries and everything else. But you allow people to be themselves. You allow them to learn the lessons that they are here to learn. You allow them to use their own spirit, their own mind, their own will to create and manifest the situations that they need to. And you still stay in your lane. And by you staying in your lane, you teaching them you don't have to stay in that. You don't have to act like that. And you don't have to control everything and everybody. And you're not going to be able to. And why would you need to or want to? And that's only bringing suffering and stress and tension on you. What are you learning from all of that? What are you learning from all that tension? That you addicted to the tension? What? But you, daughter, you get lost in your own scent, ego. You start smelling yourself. And the more you smell yourself, the farther you get from your authentic self. You start chasing your tail. Tailtale. Literally and figuratively. Round and round. Getting nowhere fast and losing whatever ground you had gained. You go around singing to yourself. My sense better than yours. My sense better than yours. And that got stuck in my head, beloveds, okay? And sometimes it's like, okay, Valerie, stop. No matter how humble you think your actions are, this is the truth of the situation. You get fixated on that smell, on obtaining that smell. And when it does not go your way, then it is not your shit that stinks. It has to be his or theirs or somebody's. Because he, she, they is missing out on your sweetness while chasing his, she, their own. In other words, you are mirroring each other in negative, non-communicative ways, each dealing with the illusions of your own design, competing with your ego self. That tail, Tailtale, is mine. That tail is mine. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. Almost had it. Wait. I know, counterclockwise. And on you go till you need guidance to get you back on your path. Because you became a human spinning top. Beloveds, this was me, and this is what I felt like so many years ago, and that's why this was given to me. I can truly say that I don't chase my tail that much, but I will get to that, be smelling myself and be like, my sense better than yours. My sense better than yours. You know, that's that, what is it called? INFJ. The J stands for judgment. I'm a what is it called? I'm an introverted person, but one of the introvert things is the judgment. And that judgment is there because it used to be self-righteous, and now it's you gonna learn. Or that's it used to be you gonna learn, because that was one of my things I would tell my kids in a heartbeat. I ain't gonna tell you, you ain't gotta listen to me. Life will teach you. You gonna learn. You know, you gonna learn the hard way. Whatever. But that was also the judgment. But now the judgment has come into or expanded into reckoning. And reckoning is so much more gentler, so much more from a place of unconditional love than judgment. Judgment, you have to stand as a superior. You have to look down. You have to put your foot down. You have to judge. But when we learn that there's only one judge, and that is the Creator, that is existence itself. And we are existence, but we are not in that position, that highest position, where we are ready to judge and look down on somebody without the ego being present. And you know that the deeper and the more intimate you get with yourself, you know that to be true. And so that's why I say I'm no longer judging from, well, I'm at this spiritual point and you're not, and you're at that, and you're got this, and you got this to do, and you got, because I got this and that. I don't, it's not a competition. It's not a judgment. It's a, like I said, it's a reckoning. And your reckoning comes to the one that can measure you. And that is only existence up there at the highest heavens of existence. Okay, that's that scale where you are going to be, you have a reckoning. Your heart is coming on this scale, and there's a feather on that one. And that feather is wisdom. Okay, that's what that feather represents. Wisdom. It is not about how good you can eat. It's not how good you can eat. It ain't got nothing to do with that. It's about wisdom and discernment and your heart. And that's what's going to balance out. And so, again, this video is about the polarities of critical thinking. Critical thinking is what gets your heart to a place where it is as light as a feather. Okay? Let me finish. With all the smells in the world, why do you chase your own? Think about it. Why do you think there are other human beings whose tails don't stink? Or if you combine the fragrance, you will have created a what? A lovely bouquet, a perfume, aromatherapy. If the dog caught its own tail, what would he do with it? But let it go and start all over again. And not everything that smells like a rose is a rose. And beloveds, this took me to I'm wondering if I'm asking if this is supposed to be shared or not in this video. So just okay. What was shared with that is when we look at the different ages that have been in the world, that have passed, that we have as history, that we look at as mystery, not mystery, that we look at as myths and legends and stories, um, that have been passed down and for generations and generations, as far back as Jesus, as far back as the dinosaurs, pre Atlantis and Mu, and all of those stories. That is the dog chasing his tail and catching it and letting it go and starting all over again. Those are the cycles and the seasons. And each one of them completes and expands because you have the knowledge from all those going backwards, coming into the now moment to create the future ones. So there is no age that was greater than another because they all cycle and circle. And this is what existence is. It's that spiral. And it spirals outward, not up or down, it spirals outward, where, like, you see wormholes and black holes and whirlpools and so forth. They spiral. And so it is that motion. And when it spirals, it gets bigger, wider and wider. That means it is expanding in its existence. And I keep telling people, well, I just started late recently, but it's something that I learned as a Jehovah's Witness about the end of times and what happens after that. And so many people believe in heaven or hell. There's only a certain number that's going to heaven. The rest will be earthbound. That is the reason for the earth. The earth is in will be once again in a paradise state for about 1,000 years. So that's 1,000 years without the mind, doing its thing, which will lead to even more expansion. Okay? And then that dog chasing his tail again. It's going to be time where you're going to need the contrasts again to bring you into the next awakening, the next knowing, the next phase. And it just keeps doing that eternally, beloveds. It does not end. So that is what was given to me with that. Nowadays, there's a lot of artificial enhancers to and for the senses, but baby, bullshit is bullshit. No matter how many people call it fertilizer, dung, or poop, and it all stinks. You need to attract to you what blends alchemically with your senses, your intuition, and your love. And again, beloveds, this is about the rebuttal from Tim Scott and the bull that was coming out of his mask with once he took it off, coming out of his mouth, that throat chakra with the America on one side, American flag on one side, and the South Carolina flag on the other, showing where his, on the grid. And that's what one of the things they told me too about the grid. Again, the grid, the water, the South Carolinas, all of that is coming up in our awareness once again. Understand the history of the slaves, the slave owners, the American Revolution right there. There is so much history and energy right there. And it's all speaking to us now. And you have to be aware of what it's saying. And if we are going to expand as a nation, then we have to really understand the roots, understand the soil, understand the earth upon which we stand, understand the grid and the hemispheres and the energy and the magnetic field of what has shifted and where we are right now in our conscious awareness and what is coming through to us. And the fact that some will be able to grasp it and others will not. And there are going to be polarities of that. And some are going to be able to get their hearts right, and others are not. And it is not for us to judge them. It is for us to work on ourselves. But it is still up to us to love unconditionally and don't allow them to harm others. And so we do that through the universal laws, not just through man's laws. Man's laws have to be implemented and based upon universal laws. And it has to be universally. Can't be one state does this, one city does that, one does this, town does that, and that's just how that. No. It has to be a united front. That's why, just like you see the Republican Party trying to shut down the voices, the voting, they're going after that neck again. They're trying to put their knee on that neck again. That's what all of this is, beloveds. That is where it is all this, like I said, this month of April. This is this for. This has so much to do with that. And this pink moon energy is the heart chakra. Okay, that heart chakra coming up to that throat and saying, speak your unconditional love and speak your truth. And, don't be distracted. Don't be a critical thinker. Be a critical speaker. Make your voice heard. This is your power. This is your hour. Make it known. And then that Egyptian card came up and it says, be silent. What needs to be silent and what needs to speak? Because those are polarities. That's the paradox. You cannot have silence without noise. So you have to be able to discern with wisdom, instinct, and intuition what needs to be silenced and what needs to be given voice to. Okay, let me finish. Stop being distracted by your tail, T-A-I-L-T-A-L-E. So stop being distracted by your stories, by your histories, by your logical conditionings and ideologies and programmings and your physical body even. What you feel, your emotions, your desires, your addictions, your hungers. It's saying stop being distracted. Listen to your heart. If it don't smell right, it ain't right for you. You're not going to be able to mask the odor. Ignore the odor or become that odor. Every odor has its own tale to tell. That is the metaphysics of alchemy, human, flora, or fauna. Let go of your Romeo and Juliet bullshit. Devote yourself to serving love. Love is not going to devote itself to serving you. Keep on believing that bullshit and see how warm it keeps you on those long, lonely, cold-ass Wisconsin nights. Get your head out of your ass and concentrate on your path. Everything else will be added to you When will you learn? How many more lessons do you need? Because I got just as many as you need. Even when it comes from higher up, it still trickles back down to me to give to your hard headed tail. Miss, down to the white meat. Now go get me that switch, and when I'm done, then you can wake your ass up. And this was written in 2014, beloveds. 2014. And like I said, at the time, I was thinking all of this was about a relationship. At the time, that's what it was. That's where it was. I'm thinking it's pouring out from, and it's flowing from, and it's all about. And here we are in 2021, and it's being shown coming up to do with let me get it right here. The polarity and paradox of critical thinking versus distraction and disinformation. And looking back on it, there was no critical thinking happening on my part because my spirit was not present. I was more, my mind, my ego was more present. I was more smelling my physical tail with all my history that goes with it to perfume it up, to pay attention to the spiritual messages that were really there, you know? And even though this came up as a lesson for me through my ancestor grandmamas, it, like I said at the time, it was all about this unrequited love mess that I had just set my mind upon. And like I said, we manifest our lessons. And like she said, how many more do you need? I got as many as you need. How many more you want? But there comes a point in time where, like I said, now it's no longer about me being attached to my emotions or my thoughts or my feelings because I'm aware, I'm spiritually, consciously aware that there is a silence that exists beyond that noise, that smell, that odor, that ardor, so to speak. And it's so much more deeper. And beloveds, that is going to do it. And everything will distract you. It's to distract you. And it's disinformation. It is lies. It is a dream. It is an illusion. As it is Maya. And we have to get to that place where we realize that. And we can let it go. Just like a child being weaned from that breast and getting that sippy cup. You don't want that damn sippy cup, but you know you got to drink and you know the booby is gone, so you better drink out that sippy cup and that's it. And that is where we are in our growth. Again, Valerie Ames on Facebook. And I'll put the link below. And again, this video was about Tim Scott, that mask he wore. Those two sides, America flag on one and South Carolina on the other. And what those two merging together or integrating, what it means in our going forward within our own self. And putting that America being the heart and that South Carolina being the feather. and just seeing what's what. Critical thinking from instinct and intuition rather than ego sides and parties and all that mess. So that's it, beloveds. Namaste. Thank you.